Welcome, fifth grade teachers, to another Passport to Social Studies video. My name is Mr. Giordano, and I will be your virtual content specialist for today. We will continue with Unit 3, the United States case study, and we will look at our Day 22 lesson. So this lesson is titled From Their Farm to Your Lunchbox. The focus question is, what factors have shaped or challenged the economic development of the United States? The learning objective is to identify the connections between geography and economics with specific emphasis on the banana industry. So your goals. Today, your students will be analyzing infographics and various sets of maps to make connections between geography and economics with specific emphasis on the banana industry. They will be exploring maps on land use and the growing season in either North America or Central America. Before diving into this lesson, we will review the Frayer Model for vocabulary support that can be used to help students break down and better comprehend some new words in this lesson. So let's get started with today's activity. So one of the beginning introduction slides in this lesson has some bolded words that are complex words and possibly new words that students might not have seen. So instead of just glancing over it or just quickly giving them a synonym for this word, we can really spend a little bit of time using a model called the Frayer Model to better break down these words so that they have a better toolbox to pull from of a strategy when they encounter new words, but also so that they really can have a better overall conceptual understanding of these words and then be able to apply them to different content areas, different types of text, and then carry their understanding over into new lessons where they'll be able to become more self-sufficient in knowing a wider range of vocabulary versus having to have reminders or constantly use the dictionary or thesaurus. Right, taking the time to use models really helps with their understanding of new words or new concepts. So something called the Frayer Model is what we'll look at in a moment. But first, here's an introduction to the lesson that students will be reading. It says, as you can see, 43% of all fruit imported into the United States are bananas. Imported means to buy goods and services from another country. Exported means to sell goods and services to another country. The process of importing and exporting goods is known as trade, and all countries engage in trade. Countries import goods they cannot produce themselves and export goods they have in abundance or extra. So again, some bolded words here: imported, exported, trade, abundance. And so again, you can use this Frayer model to break these words down. So what is the Frayer model? Well, the Frayer model is a type of graphic organizer that uses a four-square model to determine, clarify, and analyze word meaning and structure. It is used to build student vocabulary and enables readers to better understand attributes of words and relationships between concepts or word structure. This technique requires students to define target vocabulary and apply their knowledge by generating examples and non-examples, giving characteristics, and or even drawing a picture to illustrate the meaning of a word. This information is placed on a chart or a graphic organizer that is divided into four sections to provide a visual representation for students. So how can you use this? First off, you would want to select the key vocabulary. We have words like imported, exported, abundance that we can use in this lesson. We want to provide the graphic organizer, which we'll look at in a moment. And a lot of these resources I was able to find from something called the Teacher Toolkit website. So that's something you can certainly explore more on your own. You want to then model the process, model how to use the Frayer model with different words in your classroom. This could be done in social studies class, English class, and the more you do this, the more connection students will see of these words between cross content areas and really begin to have a better overall understanding of the meaning behind these words. You can assign student groups to dive into different words or concepts using this graphic organizer, or assign each student a word to work on alone. Share ideas. Have students share their findings in pairs and groups with the class. They can use presentations to review an entire list of key concepts. It's also great for study guides and studying help, using this Frayer model to break down new words that everyone can do. You can also display it to the class, maybe on a word wall for student reference. And then it can also be an extension activity to deepen students' thinking by asking them to really describe the rationale for examples and non-examples, or use it as a note-taking strategy during a read aloud. All these different things. They can even consider changing the titles of the boxes in the graphic organizer to think deeper about the concepts and applying it to different realms of life. So let's take a look at some examples. Here's one example of this Frayer model. The word would go in the center. The students can then add their thoughts to each of these concepts. Images that represent this person. So in this case, maybe it's a person, right? Not necessarily a word or an adjective or a verb, but maybe more of a noun. Images that represent the person, emojis, symbols, icons, accomplishments, people that have different characteristics, people that have the same characteristics, being able to draw those conclusions and make connections. And here's a link to an example, a PDF of these graphic organizers that you can print and have for your own use. Here's another one. It's just changed a little bit. Images that represent this person, accomplishments again, this time maybe just more successes and failures. So again, this would be more about studying an individual person and trying to better understand that person in history or in a text. But again, it could also just be used for words that they're reading in text that they might be encountering throughout a unit of study. So again, in this case, you might have the word in the center, the definition, the historical context related to the word, 5 connecting terms that relate to that word, and then a picture for the word. Again, they can change these subtitles and really deepen their thinking. You can have one that says examples of this word, maybe in action or through history, and then non-examples, ones that maybe are the opposite. So they can really start to better understand and show the difference between synonyms and antonyms related to that word. And here's an example. It is for the word alliances, so the word translated. And in this case, the subtitle was changed to definition in English and your home language. So you can even bring that into the Frayer model to really think about that culturally responsive aspect and what this might sound like in different homes that students are coming into the classroom from, what they're bringing into the classroom in terms of different backgrounds. How this term relates to the content. So in this case, alliances is connected to World War I. Yours might be a little bit different. If we looked at the word imported, how does this connect to trading or the economy? You could say something like that. And then a picture for the word. They can draw this picture. They can find it on Google image search or they can even use an emoji and add it to their Frayer model graphic organizer for that particular word. Okay, teachers, so thank you for joining me to learn a little bit more about this Frayer model. It's a really fantastic tool to help students break down and better understand not just definitions, but broader concepts behind key vocabulary that they'll see throughout various units of study. And here is a link to view an example of a slide template that is the same slide template as this template that you can then take and use for yourself. This is a link to that slide deck. I want to thank you for joining me today and have a wonderful day.